What's up YouTube, Micah here. Welcome back to the channel. Today changing up the pace a little bit, switching gears from like gear and gadgets and all of that stuff to one of the most important gear items that you can really have in the field, and that is a reliable pair of boots. Something that's kind of overlooked and not the coolest topic, so I'm not sure how many people are going to be interested in this, but I wanted to talk about this because your boots are the one thing when you're out camping, backpacking, hiking that is going to make or break your trip. If you have an uncomfortable pair of boots or a boot that is underperforming, really the whole trip is essentially ruined. Your feet hurt, your back hurts, you're slipping, falling wherever. So that's why I wanted to do a video on this and kind of talk about my favorite pair of boots and what makes these boots so awesome. So obviously I've never tried every single pair of boots that's on the market, but I believe that these boots kind of fill every single category of whatever activity you're doing in terms of like outdoor stuff. So if you're camping, backpacking, hiking, these boots can do it all. And I'm the type of guy, just like my day pack backpack, that backpack fits a wide array of different use cases, and that's the case with this pair of boots. I don't want to have to buy a pair of boots for hiking and then another pair of boots for when I'm doing a longer excursion and then a camping pair of boots. These boots will basically get anything that you want done and hold up for a super long time. This is the second pair of Lowas that I've purchased, and my old pair here, this is the first iteration of this boot. They recently came out with the MK2s. This is the version 1, and I've had these for over 10 years, and I could still wear these boots. They're pretty beat up, and the laces on this one are burnt, and I had to replace them with some paracord, but these boots are still holding up, and like lifelong type boots. And when I got the new pair, I was like, man, I'm gonna be wearing these boots for another decade. So I'll go through, I'm not gonna go into like all the details as far as like the materials and stuff, but I'll kind of go into the differences between the version 1 and the version 2 and why these boots can do it all. So we'll get into it and zoom in a little bit closer here. So here they are in all their glory, the Lowa Zephyr MK2 highs, or Mark II highs. So what I'll do is I'll start off by going over what the differences are between, for those of you who had the first version, I'll go over just the differences between the Gen 1 to the Gen 2, and then just kind of go over the general features of the whole boot and what about the boot that I think makes them the best all-around footwear for pretty much anything that you're trying to do. So taking a look at just the overall look, I think that's the most notable difference between the Gen 1 and the Gen 2 is the Gen 2, they've really just modernized the way that the boot looks. I don't really know how to put it into words, but it just looks a lot more sporty and just looks better on foot in my opinion. I think it has to do with the fact that the way that they lace up is a little bit different. This one, you had to, like, in order to get it cinched around my foot, it made the laces a lot tighter and more narrow, where these are a little bit boxier. The toe is a little bit boxier. There's a couple different, it's kind of subtle, but if you can tell that there's some of these cutouts are slightly different around the entire shoe, and the color's different. This is coyote as well as this one coyote, but this one's more like brown while this one's more of like a tan, and I really prefer the brown look. And then just starting off with some of the key feature differences. So looking at the tongue to start with, is they've added this little loop, so obviously this one does not have that, and then they've also added this little laces hood. So this allows you to, once you lace up the boot, you tie it and then you can tuck your laces in here, and it's a feature that actually is really handy because my laces, not that they came undone super often, but it really just makes the boot look more streamlined when you have the laces tucked up inside of there. One feature that I really like actually. Another one on the back here is the little loop here as well. So this makes it easier, not only like the loop on the front of the tongue makes it easy to pull up, this loop on the back makes it really easy to get on your heel compared to this. Before I kind of had to grab the sides like this and pull it on, and this just slips right on with that loop. For whatever reason, the way that they made the boot in general, like the size of this hole or something, the way that my foot slips in, it slips in so much easier on this one than this one. I don't know what it is, but it just seemed like I had a lot harder time getting these boots on. So that's something to make note of if you've used these boots in the past and you're thinking about upgrading to the second gen. Taking a look at the tread of the boot, that's something else that they've upgraded in my opinion, is the tread of this. Not that there was anything wrong with it. I never had any issues really slipping or falling. I had really great traction with these. Obviously, after 10 years of use, this is clearly more worn out. But the tread on this reminds me a lot of a tire. And honestly, I have Nitto Ridge grapplers on my Tacoma, and the tread pattern reminds me a lot of that. And when I was out camping and hiking over the past 6 months, I've like never slipped in these boots. They're super grippy. The way that the heel is really grippy. So the traction is all around solid on the upgraded version. The last key difference with this MK2 compared to the Gen 1 is, I don't know if you can really see it, but there is this little eyelet for the laces that's like on a hinge, and hopefully you can see this thing moving. But what this does is it allows you to lace up the boot starting from here up, and you lace it like a traditional boot, but once you get to this little hinged piece and pull it tight, it locks in the laces from there down. So I don't know if you've ever had boots before where as you're trying to lace it and then you move to the next one, it kind of loosens a little bit, and then that keeps happening, so you have to like keep going back to the previous rung. Once you get these laced up to here, it locks it in, and then you can lace up the rest. And I actually have been able to keep the bottom essentially laced in this permanent position. And then anytime I go to put the boot on, I can just unlace and loosen this top section, and allows me to slip my foot in and out. And it just makes getting the boot on and off a lot quicker, and is a super ingenious way of creating a speed lace system. So something to note there that they really made an improvement upon from the last version. Now, getting into why I think these are the best all-purpose boots is for a variety of different reasons. The biggest reason is because they're so comfortable, they're so lightweight, and they're so versatile. I've taken them on backpacking trips, hunting trips, camping trips, just around camp in general, and they are absolutely bulletproof. How light they are, I don't know what the weight is, but they wear more like a tennis shoe than they do a boot. Like, I've ran and jumped and sprinted in these things, and it's like you're wearing just a regular pair of sneakers. As far as they have this in a high, which obviously these are, and then they come in a mid. I recommend the high because it protects your foot more than the mids do, and I've never had a single issue of getting any sort of like wood chips or thistles or any sort of thorns or anything into my socks, and that drives me nuts. And when you have these boots on, you don't have any of those issues. Another main feature, which is similar to the old version, is that they're fully gusseted. So going back into the thorns and dirt or whatever getting in your shoe, they're fully gusseted all the way up to here on the tongue, so you're not getting anything into your socks or into the boot that's going to bug you on a hike or anything like that. Talking back about the tread, super traction. You're going to be not slipping on any hills. I've done some crazy inclines with these boots, and you're not going to have any slipping issues. And they're relatively water resistant. So these aren't Gore-Tex. They have a Gore-Tex version of this boot. I don't recommend Gore-Tex boots, honestly. They make your feet sweaty and smelly. They don't really allow water to escape, even though they say that they do. It just makes your foot super hot. I've had Gore-Tex boots, hated them. I wouldn't recommend them, but to each their own. But these are relatively water resistant, and my feet don't ever get super hot and sweaty in these things either. Even though they're high, they go up over your ankle. I don't have any issues with that. And the last thing is just they're bulletproof. Like I was saying before, I had this pair for seriously 10 years, and you can see the tread. Obviously, they're chewed up. I've stomped out fires with these, and that's why some of the knobs on here are worn out, is just because of stomping out different coals and stuff. And I'm not going to do that with this version, but they're bulletproof. There's not a single tear on the boot at all in any of the suede or anything. I did, when I stomped out a fire, burn these laces, so I had to replace it with some paracord on the fly and just never changed it. But these are still good boots. I could totally still wear these and they would still serve their purpose. I noticed losing a little bit of traction because the tread's worn down, but overall, absolutely. I mean, I don't know anybody who's had boots that look this good for, I think I've had these for 12 years. So I can't say enough good things about Lowa. I'm not sponsored by them. They didn't send me these. I paid my own money for these. So all around, if you're looking for a boot that can do everything, it's going to get you on any type of trip that you want to go on, I highly recommend going with these. And here's what they look like on foot. Give you a nice little 360. And another thing I didn't mention that I like about these is how flexible they are in terms of like arching your feet. So they really do wear like a sneaker, and you know, it's like you can give you a little action shot of what they're like. But I'm telling you, they're super lightweight, super breathable, super flexible. You can't really roll your ankle either. The way that the heel is, it's like your ankle's locked in, so no heel rolling. And another thing I wanted to show you as well is just this other little gadget here. I think these are called like pant stays or boot straps. I'm not really sure exactly what they're called, but this is how I normally wear them. And for you military guys, I'm sure you've seen these before. And for those of you who've never used these, I highly recommend these in addition to your boots. Is that it basically turns your pants into like joggers, or you know, an elastic at the bottom, and you'll definitely look like a military dude if you're rocking these. But what I really like about these is I've had it where my buddy and I were standing in an anthill and I had these on, and all of a sudden he started like slapping his legs and was getting bit by ants, and I looked down and I had ants just all over my pants. But because I had these elastics, none of them could get in my shoe or in my pants, and I just had to brush them off of my pants. So this is how I'm normally running my pants and boot setup. So it's definitely super efficient, super clean. You never get thorns in your boots or your socks or anything, and you're fully protected. So that's it, guys. We'll see you on the next one.